This video is sponsored by KEH. YouTube, what is good? Welcome back to the channel. As you saw in that intro, I shot some Fuji Pro 400H in 35mm. It's a big deal because the 35mm film ran out a long time ago. You can't really find it in a lot of shops nowadays, and therefore that one has really had the value and the price skyrocket. It's actually crazy. You go on eBay and people are selling one roll for like 40, 50 bucks. Not worth it, obviously, but if you really want one, I guess you can go find one there. I had a really good shop here in New York City that had some. It's actually PhotoCare, who you've seen on this channel before. They were selling rolls for, I think, $25, which is obviously still higher than what it typically would have cost. But all things considered, given that there's this kind of mass extinction of that film and everybody really wanted to shoot it, $25 not only was at the lowest price, but it almost felt reasonable, which, you know, it is what it is. But I bought 2 rolls from them a while ago, and I kind of was very precious with them, and I didn't really know when to use them. And the Dominican Day Parade that just happened a couple weeks ago felt like the exactly appropriate opportunity to shoot it. So I brought a roll of that with me, and I got what I think is my favorite portrait of this year so far. You know, I do a lot of street portraiture, and I've been shooting a lot on medium format for that, on the Hasselblad, but had problems with the Hasselblad at the parade, and therefore I only shot on 35. And I captured this portrait, and I absolutely love how it turned out. One thing I've been trying to do with portraiture is kind of be a bit more intentional about the composition. Try to bring other elements into the image to give it more depth, more layering, that kind of thing. And this image was the perfect opportunity to do that because we've got a natural frame from the car door, and then there's a couple layers in there in terms of depth, things that are kind of closer to the frame and farther away from the frame, and of course our subject right in the middle. And the first photo I took of her, she actually smiled. And I don't really like smiles in a lot of my portraits, depending on the situation. So I asked for a second photo and I said, don't smile. And it was kind of a weird interaction to tell somebody not to smile, but she understood the assignment and she did exactly what I wanted and gave me a fantastic expression. And in terms of the actual content of the image, we've got obviously a subject, a person. She's looking really good in her outfit. She's, you know, clearly ready to kind of show out and be a presence. And then she has the flag on her lap, which I think is the perfect little touch. That makes you wonder what's going on here. You could probably assume this is the parade, but it's not the obvious kind of in-your-face, tons of flags everywhere, very obvious where you are. So for me personally, this image really kind of has some nuance to it. It has really good composition. The person in the image is really interesting looking. And all of that combined for me makes a really, really good portrait. So it's exactly the kind of thing I'm trying to capture out on the streets of New York City. And initially, part of me was kind of sad that I didn't shoot this on the Hasselblad, but honestly, I realized after this that it really does not matter. I've said this before, and I think I believe it, but to see it in practice now, it truly doesn't matter what camera you have. It's about you, the photographer, and what you're doing out there. So back to Pro 400H. This image, I think the colors look fantastic. I really love Pro 400H in general. I think it looks really good for people with darker skin tones. So I use it a lot, and I really like what I get. On medium format, depending on what camera you're using, it often looks very, you know, clinical, but in a filmic way. And what I mean by clinical, I guess I mean that the images are very sharp. You don't really see the grain too much. When you print, you can see the grain just a bit, but the image is very clean while still having that beautiful kind of film vibes, you know, and the tones like everybody says. On 35mm, the grain is obviously much more apparent because the image is so much smaller. So when you scan it, that grain gets blown up a bit more. And I still love it. I actually feel like I almost like it more in a way. Because I just like grain in general. Grain is texture. Grain is kind of a nod to a time in the past when we shot on film only. So I really like the visual look of this film, and it's a shame that it's going to be gone because the colors are great. Like I said, I really like the grain, and it's still very sharp. This image I think is a little soft. I'm shooting on autofocus, wide open 2.8 on that Canon lens on my Canon 300V, and you know, it's autofocus, so the camera did what it wanted to do. And I think I got the photo in focus, but because the lens is on 2.8, which is the widest aperture for that lens, it's the least sharp f-stop on that lens. So, you know, that's what I got. But still, nonetheless, really love the image. I know it's not breaking news that 400H is going away. It's already gone away. But I had a consistent access here in New York City. So now that that's gone, I don't know if I'll ever be shooting 400H again. I'm definitely not paying the eBay prices. It's just not worth it to me. Let's take a second and shout out the sponsor of this video, KEH. Buying used camera gear is amazing because you as a consumer get what you want, and you get it without creating new waste streams by buying brand new products. And fortunately, KEH is a great place to buy used cameras because you get such great products and you get really amazing service as well. They review and grade each and every single camera, allowing you to choose whatever option suits your budget best. You will know exactly what condition your equipment is before buying it. Don't forget, make sure to use the links down below to get a discount on a purchase or a sale of an item. Now back to the video. But if I can find new rolls that aren't too old, you know, maybe I'd pay another 25 bucks again just for here and there, but it's not gonna be a film at all that me or anybody else uses all the time because it's just way too expensive for that at this point. So RIP to Fuji 400H. Really wish I'd used it a lot more while it was still around, but it's been a good ride. And for 120, I think the stock is starting to dry up a bit as well. I used to be able to go to any kind of major store in New York City and also online and find packs of 400H in medium format for, let's say, $50 to $60. But now, all of that seems to have kind of disappeared. Now I'm seeing $70, $80. And a lot of the shops that I used to go to don't have it anymore. So I think this is a bit of a turning point for 400H in general. That consistent 120 supply is not really consistent anymore. And again, that's also a big shame because even though the film was discontinued, I still felt like it was around because of the fact that I could find it so easily. So now that that's going to be gone, I don't really know what I'm going to be shooting a lot of. 400H was my go-to. And now I think maybe I'm going to start to mess around with the lomography films a bit. Obviously, those are made by Kodak. I think that's the big rumor, maybe the source of truth there. But so now that 400H is officially feeling like it's completely gone for me, I need to start exploring and see what other films like I really like the colors of. Portrait 400, obviously it's a fantastic film, very capable, professional level stuff, but I just really don't like the look of darker skin on Portrait 400. So I did mess with lomography 100 a lot this summer and I absolutely loved the results I got. I'm gonna start to mess with lomography 400 just to see if that really carries over the same qualities. Because in the winter months, I'm gonna need 400 for that extra stop, just to squeeze out a bit more of the scenes when there's less light out. So it's gonna be interesting to explore and kind of mess around, but all good things, you know, come to an end eventually. I just hope that film itself, especially color film, doesn't just disappear. Kodak did put out a statement recently that says they'll continue to make film as long as there's demand. That sounds like a good thing, but also sounds like a bad thing because demand seems to have weakened a bit over the last 6 months, let's say, as people decide they don't really want to keep paying for film. So a bit of an ominous thing to hear as a big film consumer that I am and a lot of you are. So let's hope things continue to go well and don't disappear anytime soon because there just isn't a digital camera out there that does everything for me. And therefore, I want to keep using my film cameras as much as I possibly can. All right, y'all, that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoy my YouTube channel in general. I think this is probably my last YouTube video that I'm gonna make maybe ever, at least for film photography. I've got some other things I'm working on. But yeah, I think the Ribsy film photography channel is officially kind of coming to an end here. And who knows, maybe I'll post again in 6 months when I decide I need to make a comeback. But I think this is it for me. All right, y'all, thanks for everything and peace.